Hey everyone, welcome back to the Nature's Calls podcast, your home for all things Chargers football. As always, I am your host, Nature Erdman, and oh boy, do we have a lot to unpack. So I had a whole episode ready to go for you guys that I thought was going to be about regular length as is. And then today happened, and we just have enough to go through. Let's just put it that way. So let's start off with the most important news of the day, which is quite obviously Philip Rivers retiring a Charger. Oh, I was moved to just about tears trying to finish my work day when a video like that releases. Are you kidding me? I was been a wreck half of the day. I think I've rewatched the video like 6 times now. I just honestly never thought that this day would come. I thought after the way that everything ended, how long it's been now, how little we've heard about him, how little he's been involved with the Chargers media in general, especially as we continue to see guys like Merriman and LT and Antonio Gates involved with what the Chargers doing. Um, to not have him around for any of that, kind of think hurt all of our souls a little bit. Like he was such a integral part to most of our fandom, at least everybody kind of my age and a little bit younger than me, quite a few people a little bit older than me. Like he was a huge part of our life as Chargers fans, and so it sucked seeing him like do interviews, but you never see him with Herb to with Justin, and it moved me a lot today, seeing that video. And I think all of us, the biggest highlight that we saw of anything when he was around was it was all about him. Like during the uniform release, seeing that he had a little cameo at the very end of it. I think that was kind of the tipping point where all of us really started freaking out. Just to see him back with the guys, it was huge. And then obviously the second day of training camp when they had the Philip Rivers moment, Mike out there to share your favorite Philip Rivers moment. I think that's kind of when we all kind of got excited that the idea that it could be happening, but for it to actually happen, it's just it feels so right, man. Like it felt so wrong for so long that he retired as an Indianapolis Colt in all of our minds. Like he never came back, and we knew that he didn't necessarily get along with the Spanoses towards the end, and he didn't agree with the move to LA, and so like it sucked. I understood his point of view. I never faulted Philip Rivers. The guy can do no wrong in my mind, but it sucked. And so just finally getting that news that Philip's going to retire a Charger just put such a huge smile on my face. I think it put a huge smile on all of our faces just to know that that's going to happen. And I tell you what, Spanos has been on a generational run lately with the building of the new facility and hiring of a legit head coach in Harbaugh, and even just letting go of Brandon Staley in the first place when it didn't seem like they were going to. Um, Bringing back the navies, like he's been on a hell of a PR tour here, making us kind of forget the things that drove us nuts in the past. So, thank you so much, Philip, for coming back and retiring a Charger. I don't think you realize how much that all means to us and to the fandom. Um, yeah, just huge. But let's move on. Enough of the sappy stuff. Let's start talking about some Chargers ball. So my first thing I wanted to talk about was the Slater contract. And when I wanted to record over the weekend, I was going to talk about like, yeah, he missed out on Friday and they called it a rest day, yada yada, whatever. Maybe they want to keep a load light on him because of the contract situation and everything else, and they were kind of handling it delicately. Missing today makes me feel like it's a hold in. Like we're beyond the first of all, what does he have to rest from? First of all. Second of all, it's you miss back-to-back practices. You miss Friday and then you miss Monday over the whole long weekend. Like it's at this point it's getting very clear that he wants a contract, and I don't blame him. Especially with the way that I've seen contracts flooding in over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. Like, come on. And honestly, I'm super on his side. Like it's been so long now that this contract should have been done. It should have been done last year. And I get it with the injury history. You didn't know how he was going to perform or anything like that. Well, you should have signed him at a discount because now the price is continuing to go up. And I'm so tired of having this frustration about the way that we sign players, because I watch players like Baltimore and legitimate franchises and the way that they sign their players early and save themselves on the back end. Like Pat Surtain, it's like the 6th highest paid corner or something now for the defensive player of the year because they signed him early. And I hate the Broncos, but come on. Like, you know that you have a star, sign him. We waited so many times. We waited a little bit, not really with Herbert, but we waited with Derwin, overpaid for that. We waited in the past with all of our biggest contracts, and it ends up biting you in the ass. Like, we need to get our heads out of our asses and get Slater back on the field. We know how integral he is to this team. We know how integral he is to protecting Justin Herbert, the most important asset to this organization. We know how Jim Harbaugh, probably the second most important asset to this organization, feels about the offensive line. We've continued to try and get the offensive line right for years, and it's eluding us. We hope that it may be improved now, but we, out of 3 massive problem positions, fixed one of them. Whether that was on purpose or on accident and we ended up into this situation, regardless, it happened. But the only thing we could really hang our hat on was top 5 to 10 at their position, left and right tackles. Okay. Don't sign don't go draft Malik Neighbors, because I get it. I see the vision. Don't go do something else. Like, if that's how you want to allocate your resources and that's what you want to give all of your attention to, that's fine. But to then not put your money where your mouth is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And so the fact that this hasn't been done yet, and the fact that we're going into the second week of training camp with Rashawn Slater sitting on the sideline, and we're playing with Joe Alt at left tackle, like, I get that in real time, if Slater was to miss time, we'd slide Joe Alt to the left side. But we should be getting ready for the season. Not sitting here pussyfooting around with a Rashawn Slater contract that I've heard up, down, left, and right for the past 9 months is going to get done. And yet it's still not done. What have you been doing? What are you doing now? Just pay the man. Like, I can't believe that the market is that far apart, or their expectations are that far apart. This can't be about the overall money. Like, we've been at this for months now. It's got to be about the details and the semantics and the injury guarantees, and I get it. Like, millions of dollars is millions of dollars. And the way that the cap is constructed is the way that the cap is constructed, and you want to be smart about it. But do you know what's not smart? Letting your stud left tackle leave, or not letting them get reps with your new offensive line, which is all about cohesiveness. So to sit here and just be in the second week of training camp and this not be done, and now it appears that he's holding in, and they don't seem to have the audacity to say it, unless he's injured. If he's injured, it's a completely different story. I'll take all my words back. But, like, how? Past physical. Came in, they showed out. They said, "Yep, you're good, Rashawn. Go enjoy your time off until we sign you to a contract." Like, what is happening here? Move along from it, guys. Figure it out. Get this behind us so we can move on to the season, or fixing wide receiver, or fixing the interior, or fixing the secondary, or any of the other problems that we still have as a team before we face this gauntlet of a schedule. Like, be for real. Get it done, please. Moving on. Since we're talking about the offensive line, we're going to go a little bit out of order versus my plan here. Let's talk about the offensive line. So, I was pro Zion at center, and I still am pro Zion at center if it works. Like, I want that to work. Obviously, there's been some bad snaps and things like that at practice, but that's also the biggest thing out of everything that he's done, that he's going to do at center, of that he hasn't done in his life. Like, reading defenses and taking snaps at center, obviously he hasn't really done a whole lot of, but like, that's still physical motions that he's used to, and he knows what he's supposed to be doing as far as identifying the defense. And like, the physical motion of snapping the ball is going to have issues. Now, obviously we can't afford to have it in the actual middle of the season. Like, can you imagine we're going through a 2-minute drill and he snaps it over Herbert's head? Like, I'd lose my mind. But like, it's at least that's a physical thing that's different. Like if he can figure that out and everything else works, and Zion is actually using his brains and intelligence to be a high level center player, and his ability in the run game helps, and his shorter stature and physical like capabilities and his strength play to the strengths at center. Like cool, I'm all for it because then we've at least fixed right guard and fixed center, at least improved center. I don't even want to say fixed, but improved center. And then we still have the left guard position. But all I want to do in the world is to fix one of those two positions. I put up two fingers as I said one. I realized how dumb that probably looked. But one of those two positions. That's all I wanted. Um, and so I would be thrilled if that happened because then you have an offensive line that's solid. There's some good cohesion. You have one missing piece, and you can survive one missing piece. Like it's still going to be a weakness, it's still going to cause problems throughout the year, but you can survive one missing piece. You can't survive two terribly missing pieces right next to each other. Like it's just not going to happen. It's not like it's both guard positions either. Like if you would just the center and left guard position, like, oh cool, we still can't handle stunts. Does anyone have tape of us handling a stunt properly? I'll go through the all 22 of last year and see if there's any frickin' film on us handling a stunt appropriately. God, it sure would be nice to see. But obviously, we've seen the issues at practice. Obviously, we're not in pads. Obviously, there's still things being figured out and working out the kinks. So I'm still holding out hope that it can be done. And then you're just give an honest effort at fixing the left guard spot. If Bozeman doesn't work out throughout the season, okay, we'll pull the plug. It's a lot harder to identify if it's not working out if you have both positions still struggling. And no matter what, you have to keep one of them on the field. So let's say you put Zion at center and you put Bradley Bozeman at left guard, and they both struggle. Okay, what do? Do you put Andre James at center? Do you replace both positions? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to do some hodgepodge combination of figuring it out, or they're just going to do nothing and say, hands up, don't shoot. We fucked it up. We'll try again next year. I'm tired of we'll try again next year's, especially on the offensive line. We've allocated so many resources and tried so hard and known that it's a problem year over year, and continuing to fail to address it effectively is getting frustrating. Even when they put in effort, like, I get it, it can't be 100% hit rate, but God, it feels like my whole fandom, we've been trying to figure this out and we can't. Like if it's not one spot on the offensive line, it's another or two or three, and you're just plugging a hole for it to start leaking out somewhere else every time. And we have these two massive holes, and if we can just get ourselves down to one, then I can work with it. But what's going to frustrate me more than anything else is, and this is what's been driving me nuts from the beginning about this whole competition and the fact that it's bleeding out this long and clearly no one's taking that next step when we're still really trying to identify who's going to play at center. Like I was fine with the experiment. Zion ran away with the job, but he hasn't. So it's still this game of who's going to play center and who's going to play left guard. And guess what we're not doing? Paying attention to a real competition. Like all we talk about is a healthy competition at every position. Well, we're not. It's just, okay, it's going to be one of those two guys. It's going to be those two guys, and we'll see which positions they play. That's not improvement. Like, I would love right now for it to be, okay, everyone's competing for that left guard spot. Or even a couple people are competing for that center spot, even if it was just Bozeman versus Andre James, because Zion Johnson was locked in at left guard. And we were just had two people competing legitimately for the center position. But instead, because this little pet project has gone so far, it feels like this silly little game of, okay, we really like our two guys who've continued to let us down, but we like them. So we're going to it's going to work out, and if it doesn't, we'll just do what we did last year, you know. But we got Mekhi Becton, so it's going to be okay. And I just can't continue to see it. I can't, because at the end of the day, you're not putting your money where your mouth is. Again, it's all being bullshit right now, and I know I sound frustrated, but it's because of this exact situation. Like, you want to compete at every position, and they continue to talk about it. Yet for some reason, they are blinded along this offensive line. And maybe we're seeing something they don't know. Maybe they knew that they were going to draft Branson Taylor and he was going to suck. But why would you draft him then? Like, it's not like from the get-go, from before the draft and before free agency, they talked about it this way. Like, we're going to give Zion an honest shot at center. But then whenever you bring up Bradley Bozeman, it's like, no, Bradley's one of our guys. Okay, well, they're both severely hindering this team. And your inability to coach them from a neutral standpoint is quite clearly affecting this team. And then when you don't have Slater out there, at this point, you're just throwing out a menagerie of offensive line combinations and just kind of having fun with it. This is the biggest thing we've been complaining and concerned about. And you continue to just make us, I feel like we're being treated like fools as like Chargers fans. And there's either two ways you can look at it. We're being treated like fools or trust the process. Well, I'm a little tired of trusting the process. I trust them to put the best guys out there, but I don't trust them quite clearly to field us a legitimate competition out there. Andre James should at least be competing for a role. Unless you're seeing great strides out of Zion Johnson. Like, if it's Bradley Bozeman or someone, it should be or Andre James. Zion Johnson should be running away with this role, or they should have immediately pulled the plug. This isn't working. Let's put him right back to left guard. We need to focus on one position at a time. But instead, they've just gotten so carried away with this. And, like, there's one thing I respect. They're very truthful and honest and upfront as a coaching staff. They made it very clear that it's just what you see is what you get. What we tell you in press conferences, what you're actually going to get. But at some point, do you think this has gotten carried away? Because I do. Oh. Coaching staff. Let's talk coaching staff. Let's talk Greg Roman's comments this week. I'll try not to be frustrated about it. So a lot of my last video was Trey Harris at the X and QJ at the Z, and let's utilize him properly. And then Greg Roman came out with his comments after the Mike Williams retirement, which I get changes things. But a lot of what they talked about is Trey Harris is predominantly going to start out at the Z position. He's going to play Josh Palmer's role, which I'm going to get to the kind of behind the scenes of why that's frustrating. But first of all, what about that offense worked last year? Like, did you not go back and watch tape and be somewhat embarrassed of the product that we put out on there from an offensive play calling scheme standpoint? Because most of us were. And I was hoping that a lot of that would come down to, okay, we need the running game to get more developed, to open up the play action side of things and the passing offense that he wants to do. And we need to elevate the athletes that we have at tight end versus what we had last year, even though I love you, Will Dissly. From an athletic standpoint, we needed to kind of make some changes versus to run the scheme that he wants to run. And so when I first immediately hear he's going to be put in the Josh Palmer role, where Josh Palmer was terribly utilized last year, performed poorly. So I'm not going to sit here and necessarily say that Trey Harris can't have a role, but it's just that I'm going to redheaded stepchild him, and we're going to do the exact same thing we did last year. Now, I get it. Trey's a rookie. We'll see. Obviously, I have massive expectations for him, but it just feels like we're really running it back from the offensive line concept and now the passing game concept outside of having an improved run game. If we can actually run right, like what else, and talent at running back, like what else is there? What other notable changes and improvements and willingness to pivot or actually adapt to this modern NFL have they shown? So we're going to trot out QJ at the X. I like Quentin Johnston. I do. I feel like he belongs in this league. I know he belongs in this league. I think he's a starter in this league. 3 wide receiver sets at least. Like, he's one of probably the best wide receiver 4 in the league if he was on any team. Legitimate wide receiver 3 for solid offense. Like, I just utilize him effectively. Utilize him in what worked. Like, look at his route tree. Let's look at the reception perception route tree here. So this is the guy that we want playing the X position. We want him just running go balls and deep posts over and over again, typically to the middle of the field where the Z receiver is also running, or a tight end. But no matter what, where the safety coverage obviously is. With all of his success and obvious issues receiving the football, specifically in clutch locations. That's how we want to use this player. That feels like the best thing to do. We don't think that maybe using like what his best strength, both at college and the pros, where everybody's seen him play and scouted him. You don't think using him in short yardage situations, behind the line of scrimmage, jet sweeps, shovel passes, dump offs, slant routes, curl routes, anything 5 yards and closer. Maybe throw him in the slot. Oh, cool. Where he's a mismatch physically, size wise for other players. You think that might work? Nope. Deep posts. Go balls. That's what he's going to be good for, as we can tell, evidence by the history here. Like, what are we talking about? It's the inability to adapt, the inability to change, the inability to critically think about what failed prior and make a legitimate change to address it is just, it's dumbfounding to a certain extent. And so you're going to have an underutilized second round pick, and I get he's a second round pick. You can't all of them expect to be Lad McConkey, but he could be like, and then outside of that, the other conversations you have are, which I get are probably them reassuring us to some extent, like, oh, the other guys can play the X. Like Jalen Rieger can play the X. KLS can play the X. Like, what? What the biggest area of need, the biggest area of concern is we're going to fill with complete unknowns and not address the guy who is an incredible man coverage separator playing the X in college. Nah, it doesn't make sense. And the guy we currently have on a high salary because he is a first round pick who played the X last year and didn't thrive, but showed excellent flashes. Like, we're going to keep him there and rotate him in with these other guys who is one of them is a probably bigger first round bust than QJ actually is. And the other one's a fifth round rookie. Has one solid year of film and a lot of hands problems in his first few years when he was over at Penn State. Yeah. And so I just I don't understand it. Like I genuinely do not see the vision. Um yeah, if you got tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Play to people's strengths, scheme them appropriately, unless they see something completely different out of Trey, and I'm not that good of a talent evaluator, which I might not be. I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'm not smarter than Greg Roman or Jim Harbaugh, or at least one of them. Um, but at some point, when does it become the definition of insanity? Look at me, I'm going crazy. I feel like I'm going crazy because we're continuing to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Ugh. Anyway, Aranda Gatson might be legit. Aronde Gadsden might be that guy. I'm backing away from my mic. Sorry, guys. Um, yeah, I'm really excited. I would still like to kind of temper expectations versus some of what I've seen online, where he's just going to break out immediately. Now, unless a injury happens to Conklin. Now, if that is the case, I do think Gadsden gets some serious rotational playing time immediately. But I do expect Ronde Gadsden to have some snaps and some packages where he is going to be playing pretty much right away. A few weeks in, he'll start getting some snaps in here. But I think if you're from a fantasy perspective or just a Chargers fan perspective, I would expect that to happen later in the season. I think he's going to take some time to come on. We're just getting pads on this week. I really didn't get to watch very much of the videos, so I don't know how he performed from a blocking in line perspective, but he's going to be the third guy on the depth chart. But man, the future looks bright. If it's not this year, man, the future looks bright. And even if he does get on the field a little bit and gets a little bit of those reps, and we can start seeing what he's got when we get to the end of the year, when the injuries start wearing down and people's bodies just can't hold up to it anymore, and you get into the playoffs and we get through that gnarly stretch of 5 games before the playoffs, like having the extra offensive firepower might just be a huge saving grace for us, especially depending on what this X position ends up looking like. So thrilled, thrilled, thrilled that he looks as good as he does, and I can't wait for what the future kind of holds for him. I hope that I'm not getting my expectations up too high. Again, my 2025 season projection isn't going to be over the top outlandish, but I think the 10-year career side of things is looking pretty solid. excited. What do I have left on offense before we get to defense? Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines signed with the Chargers today. I've seen a little bit of panic, primarily about Najee Harris. I don't compare those two. That's like saying Trey Harris got hurt, so we're going to sign Hunter Renfrow. Um, and then us freaking out that Trey Harris isn't going to play for the first 8 weeks of the season or something. Like, they're very different players. Like, Nyheim Hines is a third down back. Like, he's like Kenneth Gainwell. Like, he's not coming in here to compete for legitimate starting snaps right away. Like, Omari and Hampton, if Najee can't go, Omari and Hampton is going to get some runway. Let's make that very clear. And then your injury insurance will probably be Rocket Sanders, maybe Kamani. Um, I saw Haskins. I have a hard time seeing, but like it's going to be the Amari and Hampton show if Najee can't go. Now Najee might be out a couple weeks. It's really hard to say with an eye injury, and honestly, it's probably pretty hard to diagnose. They probably don't know what that looks like. But one thing I will say is Nyheim Hines is not being brought in to replace that. Nyheim Hines is probably telling me that from a special teams perspective, it's not exactly where they want it to be, or from a third down back pass protection perspective, it's not where they want it to be. If Najee is going to miss some time, maybe they know that Amari and Hampton is going to be that first and second down back. And so they want to have someone who can be a little bit more pass pro in there to not wear down Omari and Hampton as much. I don't think it's going to be let's give Nyheim Hines serious carries. I can't envision it. That's not what he's done in his NFL career. That does not fit this offense, even just the closest, tiniest little bit. Like that doesn't make sense. Nyheim Hines is there to be a change of pace back in pass protection, probably play some special teams, give Kamani Vidal a little bit of a kick in the pants. Give Raheem Sanders the team insurance in case Raheem Sanders, they can't get a good go at him in the preseason and in training camp. And unfortunately, that would mean that he probably doesn't make the roster. But I think he's closer to Kamani Vidal, Hassan Haskins competition than he is anyone else. Like Nyheim Hines is not going to make a difference in the way that we are in our offense operationally. The only thing I would expect is that Najee was going to get more of those first and second down plays, and Omari and Hampton was going to get a little more third down with his pass catching ability and pass blocking ability. And I don't think they're seeing what they want to see from that perspective. Or if Najee is going to be out, they know they need to keep Amari in a little bit fresher. So Nyheim Hines will be a third down back. Like, please do not overreact to this. Like, if they went and signed Dearness Johnson, who's going to run through your face type of back, or Jamal Williams, like Nyheim Hines is not at all close to Najee Harris in the way that he plays football. So I just please don't be too concerned about that side of things. All right, let's talk some positives, specifically defense now, which has had some positive news coming out of this. Now, I don't know if Justin Herbert's actually not playing super well, and that's where all the interceptions are coming from. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about the bogus responses on Twitter about them being concerned about Justin Herbert. That's not what I'm talking about. But the interceptions are happening. And I just hope to God that that's just the defense really stepping up and making some plays on the ball, more so than it is Justin Herbert making some errant throws in there, or wide receiver issues or protection issues or anything like that. Like, I really hope it's just the defensive studs going out there and being studs. But all I hear about every day is Deion Henley. I don't know what Brandon Staley did to him to just lock him in a little room like Harry Potter underneath the stairs to where he just didn't get to play any snaps rookie year. Are you kidding me? Because what we saw last year was a Pro Bowler. And it sounds like basically the year 1 to year 2 jump is pretty close to what they're seeing from a year 2 to year 3 jump. Like, there's a lot of all pro conversation. And with the way that he played last year, if he racks up more stuff on the stat sheet, so more tackles, more interceptions, forced fumbles, things like that, like, he's going to end up in all pro conversations, at least Pro Bowl conversations. Like, I it's so nice. I don't remember the last time we had just a stud linebacker, especially in coverage. Like, it's been years. Like, and not from an edge rusher perspective, like a coverage linebacker to complete the defense. Like it feels nice, feels real good, and like him patrolling the middle of the field with if Colson steps up as much as I hope he does, if not Denzel Perryman is the enforcer, Derwin James is the big nickel. Like that's a scary middle of the defense. That is a tight end's nightmare. Like you don't want to play against that in coverage. The back end safeties, Elijah Molden. Mm, I like Alohi Gilman. Still do. But the way that Molden played allows Derwin to play in the big nickel. Like if we were missing Molden, like we would not be able to. We need that safety trio to unlock Derwin James. Like you need both of those guys back there to make that happen. I don't feel the same level of comfort by putting Dean Leonard back there next to Alohi Gilman and then Derwin can go play up front. Like that doesn't work. That's not going to work for what Jesse Minter wants to do. And with the way that I feel about our cornerback room, as much as I don't really love allocating Derwin to the big nickel role, like it worked. And it allows us to keep our stronger guys and lack of depth at corner. Like if that has been their plan all offseason, ignore all my comments about how we kind of ignored the cornerback room. Like, no, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it now if that was your plan because I get it. I see the vision. So Elijah Molden being back, I feel like really secures that secondary. I will say I do think the cornerback room is probably only getting muddier with Derwin at big nickel. I'm very curious. Like Cam Hart definitely not had some highlight reel worthy plays. Tarheeb's gonna, yeah, I'm curious where they're gonna play Tarheeb. I'm curious how that cornerback room shakes out, especially the back end. Like you go from Ben St. Juste, who I would assume has to make the roster, right? And then you're looking at Jaw, and you're looking at Dean Leonard, and you're looking at Tri Bridges. Like, where does the starting cornerback possible rotation, or I guess depth cornerback, the actual cornerbacks on the roster rotation, and then special teams cornerbacks, like where does that end? How much are we going to use corners on play on special teams? How many guys are going to make this roster? Mickens has been playing well, so that secures the safety position if Derwin plays big nickel. I don't know. Talented player is going to get cut. Like even with the roster spot opening because of Mike Williams, like a talented player is going to get cut from the secondary. But like we don't have top end talent, but God, the depth seems to be really solid. Unless I might be out of my mind. I mean, all of those guys might be not rosterable worthy players, and I could be crazy. But the way I've heard people talk about it, like I would assume that Tri Bridges doesn't make it. Um, just for the benefit of the doubt, I would think that Jossier and Dean Leonard are going to make it over Tri Bridges. But do both of those guys make the roster? I don't know. That is going to be probably one of the most intriguing battles of camp and preseason. God, I'm excited for the preseason. Do you remember a time that you were this excited for the preseason? I don't. Like we've always been like not always. For a while now, we've been very top heavy of the roster. And then the bottom side, like we knew who it was for the most part. You had like three spots battling it out, and you knew that they were never going to touch playing time. Like it is a very different feel of a roster. Like the depth on this team is insane. I wish the depth that I guess the yeah, actually similar situation. Let's have the same conversation now about defensive tackles. Probably the biggest disappointment because I felt like we addressed it pretty well, and maybe we did. Maybe all these other players are just showing out so well. Like I liked Jamari Caldwell for just run stuffing, physical size, some pass rush juice, but he's not gonna go be getting sacks left and right. But he's gonna apply a little bit more pressure purely off of his strength and size and athleticism, the way that he moves. Was really excited about that. Obviously, we needed some more pass rush juice from the interior. Justin Aboigbe, the way that they talked about him all offseason, we were going to see so much stride and improvement from him with the muscle that he's put on. Like that was going to be our Dan Henley of this year. Like, yeah, he didn't really play much in his rookie year, but don't worry. He's improving behind the scenes, guys. I tell you what. And now he's just not on the field. That's just like, what is it? Tito and Naquan starting. No, 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 no. No. Defense second team. God, who's been starting in the starting two? No, obviously Tart and Deshaun Hand. Tart and Deshaun Hand. So those have been your top two. And I had a feeling they were going to be the top two. I thought that Caldwell would really get some rotation in there. Like I really thought that he was going to start pushing Hand for playing time. Tart, I don't see playing 85% of the snaps, but he's going to play a good amount of them. But then the second team being Tito and Naquan, like I had Tito not making the roster because I was kind of following the money and everything else, but like, and it just played out that way. Like I saw Tart and Hand, and then really rotating in heavily would be probably Naquan Jones early on, and then a Boyd being Caldwell by the end of the year, getting heavy rotational snaps. And I just saw Tito as the guy who kind of got left behind. Now, if you're telling me Tito's running with the second team heavily and a Boygby and Caldwell, like those are some, you guys can be praising these late round picks as much as you want. These are critical positions on the defense that we needed to have addressed that aren't. That's 2 years in a row that we critically needed to address those. We didn't address it huge in free agency. We went after 1 year deals, solid players. Like obviously we had Puna last year. We revived his career and but you still wanted like we built it out in a way that we were going to go get our guy of the future. And that's why we didn't go sign Puna Ford. And now you're telling me we're doing the same thing again, but like with less talent? We're doing it with guys. Like our best guy was the guy who was third in the rotation last year at a position of weakness. Whew. I don't like that. Not a big fan of that. What can we do about that? Can we get that fixed? Can we get that fixed? No, because you can't go find a solid, strong defensive tackle this late in free agency. Like there's certain positions you can still go get. You can go get a wide receiver that can get you somewhat of production. It's not going to be at a high caliber. You can go get a corner. You can go get even edge rushers because there are guys in those positions who, as they age, can't play the role that they used to, but they can give you some juice. They can give you some snaps. What positions don't do that? The physical trench ones. Offensive linemen stay on the team until they're finally let go, or you go right off in the sunset for 2 years. And if you do let someone go, it's because you stumbled upon a gold mine as a backup player. And so you just have to let them go because you're not going to pay them top dollar when you have that guy behind them. Now, that's not the case for the Chargers. Same thing with defensive tackles. Like, there are not difference makers at defensive tackle in the league just readily available. Like the top 10 guys, 5 to 10 guys versus the 10 to 25, 30 guys, that's a big gap. And then the second 30 is a cliff. And I don't know where we stand with ours. We got maybe one guy in that top 20 tier. Maybe if Tart replicates what he did last year with increased snaps. I don't. Not a fan. Not a fan. There's just a couple positions where this new regime seems to just. I don't know if they miss on it and they're just as mad about it as me because you can't expect people to be perfect all the time. But damn, these were positions of concern that we whiffed on it. Last year it was center and wide receiver, and we whiffed on them besides Lad. But like obviously the depth didn't shore out. Like we knew those were positions of concern. And somewhat tight end as well. And then this year, we all harped on we still need to fix the interior offensive line. All three positions on the interior. We need to get weapons, and we need to get defensive tackles. Now, weapons up in the air because Mike Williams didn't work out. Love you, Mike. Goodbye. You'll be greatly missed. I love you. But anyway, Mike Williams didn't work out. He's retired now. Defensive tackle, not looking so hot right now because our two young investments are not playing at all with the first or second team. Yeah, and then the interior offensive line is a clown show. Trying to figure out who's going to play two of those three positions. Now, we signed one person. He just got back because he wanted to go get a Super Bowl ring. I'm not mad about it. But instead, we opened up a left tackle position, the most important position outside of quarterback in freaking football, because we won't pay the man. So it's. Please stop making me look like a fool. Like this, the way that the season is looking. I don't like feeling this derailed when other teams are just starting to have their first practices. Like I really hope to see a lot of improvement this week when the pads come on and when we start seeing preseason snaps. I don't need to see the stars, but this team is built around depth, which means we should see a lot of guys who are going to touch the field this year actually play in preseason games because we're not that heavy at the top, but we are thick all the way through. So I feel like I really want to see that. If I don't see, just I'm going to be legitimately concerned. Not to the point of I'm going to sit here and start talking like I don't trust the regime and everything else. Like I'm not going to do that, but like I do have certain expectations for this team. Like when you go get Harbaugh and you build a team a certain way and you continue to ask fans to ignore the way that we would like to draft and our people that we would have liked to draft continue to hit, like that drove us nuts for Telesco for years. So we have faith in you, Harbaugh and Ortiz. And so if we just continue to do the same thing that we've seen for years, it's going to get really disappointing really fast. Like we had a solid season last year against a weak schedule with a very barren roster. You had plenty of money and draft capital to build it in your own vision, but you also have a significantly harder schedule this year. We could be anywhere from a 12-win team to a 7-win team right now with how much adversity we're seeing in training camp already. Please prove me wrong and show me that we're a 12-win team. Right now, it's a little bit scary to see. But anyway, hopefully I've got all nothing but sunshine and rainbows to spout for you guys next week or next video. Hopefully we've seen enough from padded practices and training camp that I'll be more excited. But I've got some concerns right now, and I feel like now's a good time to voice them. But man, we're getting close to having Chargers football again, boys. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm sorry if this was a little bit pessimistic of a video, but sometimes you gotta be real about your team too. So anyway, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for listening in today. A little bit longer video than I expected it to be, so thanks for bearing with me and bolt up, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to you soon.